And we're back. This was Hook and Ladder, Week 8.
And what a week it was.
What a week it was.
Before we get into it, we have breaking news. Oklahoma just fired their offensive coordinator about 5 minutes before we just started doing this. As you said, sacrificial lamb. Their offense is terrible. I don't really blame the offensive coordinator. Their top 5 wide receivers are out. And the Jackson Arnold experiment kind of hasn't worked. They bring in the other true freshman. He turned it over 3 times in the first half. They yank him, put Arnold back in. Don't really see that it's all that much of the fault. I mean, you can make the play calls. They got to execute. Right. You're missing that many guys. But, you like you said, sacrificial lamb. So first, I'm pretty sure that's the first casualty of the season.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be more coming very shortly.
Very, very soon.
Oregon knocked off Purdue 35-0, kind of what we expected.
Yeah, I was watching this game. Oregon went out to a big lead, and I kind of, it was Purdue. I was actually watching Florida State and Duke, thinking, is Florida State really going to go 1-6? I mean, they had some opportunities, but Duke just had the stranglehold on them. Florida State really couldn't do anything offensively. They brought in a true freshman quarterback that I thought gave them a spark. But they go back to the other kid, Brock Glenn, and he was not good. But I was flipping back and forth to the Oregon game. Just the other game was a little bit more entertaining for me. But Oregon looked good. I mean, they looked like the team that just beat Ohio State at home last week. The number 2 team in the country. I think they're going to be number 1. We'll get to that in a second, I guess. But they look good doing it. But like I said, Purdue, boring game. I wanted to watch something more entertaining.
Yes. Speaking of undefeated teams, BYU remains undefeated, knocking off Oklahoma State 38-35.
I watched the first few minutes of this game because I was like, BYU's undefeated, and then I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up, it was like maybe 4 a.m., and I looked at my phone, saw the BYU won. I was like, continue to be undefeated. Yep. Good for them. Oklahoma State, we've talked about it before. Very disappointing for them. They were in contention for the Big 12 championship and just couldn't make it, can't get out of their own way, really.
That's right. Now talking about Saturday's games. So starting off, right off the bat, UGA knocked off Texas 30-15. What an exciting game. And total domination.
Total domination. That defense is absolutely amazing. I was one of the many people, like 95% of people talking about college football, watching college football, that picked Texas to win. I thought there was very little chance Georgia could win. I thought, they would have to play a mistake-free game, play the best game of the season to beat Texas. I thought.
That defense did play the best.
That defense did play the best game of the season. The quarterback for Georgia, Carson Beck, did not. No. He looked like absolute dog shit. Threw 3 picks. 2 of them were just bad throws. One of them, a little high. Guy maybe could have made a play, tipped off his hands.
Receivers weren't helping him out.
They didn't. They dropped a bunch of passes. Dominic Lovett, they're usually sure-handed. Dominic Lovett dropped 3. Dylan Bell, sure-handed. Dylan Bell dropped 1 first drive.
The guy who's usually not sure-handed, Arian Smith, is catching everything.
He's catching everything thrown to him. London Humphreys, the transfer, who's been pretty good so far, had a second consecutive game where he dropped a 3rd down, a second half 3rd down, easy conversion, dropped it, and one of the drops Dominic Lovett had was, I think, early 4th quarter, like a 3rd and 8.
Critical situation.
That critical situation, would have had the first down, hit him right in the hands, dropped it. So they didn't help him out. I didn't think the play calling for Georgia helped out their offense at all either, but man, that defense just kept giving them short fields. And they were putting points on the board, 23-0 at the half. 7 sacks for Georgia, 2 strip sacks and fumble recoveries, and they had a pick. All in the first half. I think those 3 turnovers led to 10 Georgia points.
And there would have been several more turnovers in that game if somebody would catch the ball.
Yes, exactly. Georgia had an opportunity to make at least 3 other picks. All in the second half, guys dropped them. 2 linebackers and a safety dropped them. But man, that defense, I'm watching the game, and even though Texas kind of came back, they scored the touchdown in the opening drive of the 3rd quarter because there was some kind of weird squib kick that they got at the 40-yard line. And then the next time was on an interception that was flagged for decent pass interference. The Texas fans throw shit on the field. The referees, by the way, the head referee was like a Texas grad and a business owner, which there's been a lot of stuff going on the internet today about that. A lot of people thinking that those guys are getting suspended. But anyway, they reversed the call or waive it or whatever, give Texas the ball back on the 9-yard line. They score first play.
There should have been a penalty assessed just before throwing.
Just for throwing out 50-yard penalty. And that's what usually happens. They didn't give Texas a penalty. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. There was a clock issue in the fourth quarter where Texas had the ball. They didn't start the clock. A lot of weird, some conspiracy theories going around right now about this game.
The second down, second and goal. That was a touchdown.
Yes, yeah.
Clearly plain as day.
Yep. There's a picture going around the internet right now of his knee up. The laces of the ball are clearly over the plane. Yes. You can see it. And also on third down, Carson Beck got in too, but they didn't call it. And finally on fourth, he really plunged into the end zone. But given the fact that Texas did come back, it's second half alone. Georgia forced 3 different times where they went fourth down and then got off the field. Couldn't convert fourth downs on 3 drives in the second half alone. It was one of those games where defensively, I'm watching what Georgia's doing to them. I mean, they were getting pressure with just 3 dudes, 3 defensive linemen rushing. They would get pressure, collapsing that pocket, and letting the linebackers just run free to sack the quarterback and do what they needed to do. But I never thought that Texas was in this game. I thought, they would score. If Georgia could have done a little bit better job offensively the second half, it would have been a little bit, cleaner, in my opinion, a little bit more a breathing room. But I still didn't think that Texas could overcome that defense. A huge win for Georgia. They'll probably move up to 2. I'm thinking Oregon goes to 1. Texas not by any stretch of imagination done. They'll be in the playoffs, no doubt. But huge statement win for Georgia and Kirby Smart. Nobody gave him a chance. Georgia's Kirby Smart's 100th win. So good for Georgia. I mean, just dominating fashion.
Now moving right along. Miami knocked off Louisville 52-45. This is kind of an exciting game.
This to me, was the game of the day. It was so much fun to watch this game. Cam Ward was having a great day. And every time they did something, Louisville would answer. They'd get up, and Louisville would tie it. Such a fun game to watch. And then the Mongolian death march that Martinez did late in the game to seal it.
They couldn't bring him down.
They could not. I was like, oh, you need the 4 dudes to get this guy down. Huge win for undefeated Miami. They're ranked number 6. And they're looking like they're about to roll into Clemson. They might play each other in the regular season. I don't know. But it looks like all roads lead to Clemson and Miami in the ACC
destined to play together. Yeah. I'm moving right along. Tennessee knocked off Bama 24-17. Kind of a slow start, and it wasn't really happening in the first half, but then they really got going there towards the middle of the third quarter.
I believe this is the 3rd game in a row Tennessee was shut out in the first half. Neither team looked very good. I think Tennessee's defense was, if you had to pick an MVP of the day, it'd be Tennessee's defense. But Alabama's defense played pretty well as well. I thought Jalen Milroe looked really, really bad. Watching this game, I'm sitting there thinking, this guy, when he plays against Georgia, he looks like, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. He plays against Tennessee, and he looks terrible. I mean, he had Ryan Williams, the superstar freshman.
He's 17.
Open. Yeah, Jesus, how many times can you say that? He had him open on a number of occasions, and it was just underthrown, overthrown, thrown to the side, behind him. The kid was wide open in zone coverage, just finding the soft spot, and he still couldn't hit him. And Milroe just looked really bad, but so did Nico. I didn't think either quarterback looked good, but you know what? Nico made the plays when he had to. He threw the touchdown pass. He threw a long bomb to one of his guys that got him, in the end zone to take the lead. Then Alabama came back and scored, take the lead, and then they go back for the touchdown pass. But I think both of these teams have a lot of stuff to clean up. Yeah. Both of them, in my opinion, are still easy playoff contenders. I know Alabama has got 2 losses. I still think if they win out, they're probably going to make it. They don't have an easy road going forward. I think they got to play A&M and LSU, but I think Tennessee, they got 1 loss. I think as long as they don't drop more than 1 more, they're probably in.
That's right. LSU knocked off Arkansas 34-10. I didn't see any of this one.
I watched a little bit of it quietly. LSU's having a really good season after the opening week loss to USC, who looks like dog shit now. they're undefeated in the conference. And I think A&M might be as well. I got to look at A&M's schedule. They are undefeated in the conference. So I'm fairly certain they play each other. Yeah. So one of those teams will obviously lose. LSU's got to play Alabama, and I think A&M's also going to play Alabama. But, right now, I saw something the other day where it was predicted to be Texas and LSU in the SEC championship game. Now I think if Georgia wins out, it could be LSU, the winner of the LSU A&M, providing they do what they need to do.
There's a whole lot of undetermined things. There's a lot of people still around.
Yeah. It was really. It was definitely a separation kind of Saturday event this week, but things still have to shake out. But LSU looks good, man. That defense is finally coming around. Offensively, we knew they were going to be great. Passing the football, they're really, really good. Wide receivers are amazing. Was it Nussmeier is really, really good.
Quietly having a good season. Yeah, he's still the guy.
But yeah, I think they're a good team. And the defense really looked good yesterday. But they played Arkansas.
Yeah. Iowa State knocked off University of Central Florida, 38-35.
A barn burner, a nail biter. They were down. They had to come back. I think UCF thought they had this one a little earlier, and they would kind of maybe take the foot off the gas. But credit Iowa State for coming back and winning on the road. No, they were home, rather. They were home. Yeah. But great win. They're undefeated as well.
Yep. They were home. Clemson knocked off Virginia 48-31.
I haven't seen Clemson play since... I've seen a little bit of them, but I really haven't watched much of them since they lost to Georgia.
They quietly snuck back in the top 10.
They did. They're looking good. They've put up tons and tons of points.
And now that opening game loss to Georgia is not waning so heavy.
No, it's not. They're still undefeated in conference play. They basically control their own destiny. Everything they want is in front of them.
That's right. Notre Dame knocked off Georgia Tech 31-13.
Didn't see any of this, but I do know that Haynes King for Georgia Tech did not play in this game. I don't remember the reason why.
So, Texas A&M quietly having a good season, 34-24 against Mississippi State.
Watched a little bit of this game because I wanted to see if Mississippi State's offense, what they did against Georgia was an anomaly. And it really wasn't. Yeah. They're not a great football team. They're not super talented, but they've got some freshmen on that offensive side of the ball. As you can see, Van Buren threw for 242, led the game in passing. They've got a couple of young guys on that offensive side of the ball, and you kind of know the direction they want to go in offensively, and they looked good. Again, they're not a great team. They're not super talented, but you can kind of see they've got some pieces in place, and those guys made plays yesterday.
That's right. So, biggest surprise, I think, of the season, one of the biggest surprises is Indiana knocks off Nebraska. They won 56-7.
I watched most of this game because I wanted to see Raiola. There's stats out there on him against man coverage and against zone coverage, and it's like night and day different stats for him and completion percentages. So I wanted to see how he would do. Now, he led the team. He led the day in passing, both teams, 234 yards, but didn't really look all that good. Threw a couple of picks. Well, man, Indiana looks like a good, complete football team. I know that's weird to say, and they're in the Big Ten, who even Urban Meyer has called the Big Ten a weaker conference. And he still says that, but still, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They're probably going to end up having to face Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, I'm guessing. Or I guess maybe Oregon, because they beat Ohio State. I just assume Ohio State's going to be there. Yeah. But, man, they look good. They look good throwing the football. They look good running the football. They look good offensively and defensively. All three levels of the defense. And they can't mention enough that coaches from the Nick Saban tree. Of course they got to say that.
Of course they got. Kansas State knocked off West Virginia 45-18. You seen this one?
Just the highlights. I picked them to win. I made some money this week on the bets. I picked some underdogs, and I picked some teams that were favored by just a few points. I thought we were going to win by way more. This game was one of them.
Missouri knocked off Auburn 21-17. Brady Cook missed 2 quarters of the game and came back.
Yeah, came back and led them to 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter. They were down 14-6 starting at the fourth quarter and won the game. Huge credit to Brady Cook for coming back in. Missouri playing from behind after getting spanked by A&M a few weeks ago. They've kind of righted the ship a little bit. They're not a great football team. They're just a solid, good team. They're probably going to ruin somebody's season here before too long. And, Auburn is they're just not good.
They don't have a quarterback.
They don't have a quarterback. And Payton Thorne, he's been playing well ever since the game against Oklahoma. Yes, he did throw the pick six to end the game, but he played pretty well that game. He didn't play bad against Georgia. He didn't really play that bad yesterday, in my opinion. Yeah. They're just not talented. Yeah. They've got some really good freshman wide receivers.
But nobody throw it to them.
Yeah, they need to go to the portal, and they need to find the best QB in the portal. And they've got a really good quarterback recruit committed, but that dude probably ain't going to be ready to start as a true freshman.
Yeah. We'll move right along. SMU quietly having a good season as well. 40-10 against your favorite team, Stanford.
Yeah, didn't watch any of this game, but anytime you beat Stanford, got to clap it up.
That's right. Way
to beat those worthless piles of garbage over there from the West Coast. They can, I won't say it on the family channel here, but yeah, I hate Stanford. They can lose every game, every sport. I won't care. I hate them.
Well, how about this? Illinois knocked off Michigan 21-7. How about Illinois?
How about Illinois?
How about the uniforms?
Oh, those were great. Those helmets were awesome. Man, Michigan is bad in football this year. Mm-hmm. I predicted they were going to lose 4 games. I said 8-4. My buddy Andy, who's a big Michigan fan, was like, no way. 3 tops. They don't have a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I felt bad for Tuttle. Led the day in passing with 208 yards, but some costly turnovers. I mean, they were going in for what I thought was a tying touchdown, and he throws a pick in the red zone. Was it a tying touchdown? Or I don't remember if it was a tying one or they were just going in trying to get it closer. Yeah. Bad throw. Just bad decision making. Not even a bad throw, just bad decision making.
This was a bad week of quarterback play.
It was. Michigan can still run the football, but they're not as dominant as they were. And they had that 3-year run. Mm-hmm. They go to the playoffs for 3 straight years, culminating in last year's national championship undefeated season. Mm-hmm. You can't sustain that. At the level that they recruit, you cannot sustain that. They recruit, I'm going to say, top 10 to 15, roughly, each year. To me, that's not good enough to win a title, but they did a great job of taking a group of players that they had and coaching them up and making them playoff teams for 3 years in a row. Helps that you have elite defensive players, elite running backs. I didn't think their quarterback play at any point in time was elite until certain games last year with JJ. I never thought he was an elite quarterback, but they were an elite team. Right. And I just don't think that happens very often when you don't recruit in the top 5 every year.
I agree.
But, down year for them. I'm sure they'll right the ship. They should have went to the portal for a quarterback. Mm-hmm. That's their main problem. If they had a quarterback that was worth a shit.
Maybe Cam Ward, maybe going to Michigan instead of Miami.
Went all in on him, went all in on anybody you could have got. Went all in on Kyle McCord, a guy you beat. Yep. Is still way better than anything that they have on their roster. And Kyle McCord's having a great season, by the way, for Syracuse.
That's right.
I don't know. That's their downfall, not having a QB. They should have known that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of some other 2 teams that are doing pretty good, Army and Navy this year, undefeated teams.
Undefeated service academies.
Service academies. Army beats ECU 45-28. Navy beat Charlotte 51-17. They're not beating the cream of the crop right now, but they're running the table in their conference.
Yep, and if I'm not mistaken, that conference championship gets a bid, right? I should know this.
I think they get a bid, but even if, say, these 2 play each other, they get to play each other the following week in the Army-Navy game.
I saw something that there was a playoff predictor, and they had Georgia playing Army. Mm. They also had Georgia playing Notre Dame. Mm. So I think these guys can get in.
It's might be in a large bid.
I think that'd be really cool. Yeah. Like to see that one of the service academies get in. They deserve it. The way they've been playing, the way they've been dominating. Yeah, you mentioned it. They're not playing like any juggernauts of teams, but they deserve to be in there if they can qualify.
Yeah, it was this Bryson Daly kid. I think he was the quarterback for Army. He's got like 19 touchdowns in the season. He had 5 yesterday. It's pretty impressive showing what they're doing right now. Any other games we want to talk about?
South Carolina played really, really well against Oklahoma. Yes. We mentioned that earlier. The quarterback, the true freshman for Oklahoma, 3 turnovers, pick 6 and a scoop and score, and he threw another pick that led to a touchdown from South Carolina. Their defensive line is really, really good. That's the strength of South Carolina's team. I don't think they're a very good team outside of that. I'm not a big fan of Sellers. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. But that defensive line is going to keep them in games. They should have won the LSU game. They should have beat Alabama. I know they mentioned on the telecast, I watched this game yesterday, that these guys feel that they're a top 15 team. And when they're playing well, they look like it.
Yeah.
And that defensive line is legit. And they caused havoc against Alabama. They caused havoc against LSU. They caused havoc against Oklahoma. They're a good defensive line and slow. You know, they've got a few losses.
Yeah.
But they're having a really good season by South Carolina standards.
Yeah. How about Colorado? They beat Arizona 34-7. I think this is what they're going to have a winning record. They're going to be bowl eligible this year.
They're I think 6-2,
Yeah.
5-2, 6-2. I picked them to win on pool, and I put money down on them as well.
Oh.
I did not watch or put any money on the USC Maryland game, but I think it's hilarious that USC goes down once again. I mentioned it before on this channel. I do believe that they're more physical than they've been in years past under Lincoln Riley, and they need that being in the Big Ten. I don't think they're physical enough to compete in the Big Ten, really, but they're doing better. I didn't think they were going to lose to Maryland. I thought they'd be better than they were, but Bear Alexander up and quits. That did not help them defensively.
You kind of wonder if something's going on that team. Or
I think it's Lincoln Riley. I mean, you kind of see what happened when he was at Oklahoma. They score a lot of points, but they don't win games.
Yeah.
They don't win meaningful games. So I don't know. I think they're. He's not going to get fired. I think he might leave. But if they stay with him, he's going to have to put up next year. And right now it's looking like Juju something or other. Juju Lewis from Carrollton, Georgia, like 40 minutes up the road from where we're at right now. 5-star QB's committed to them. If he sticks, Indiana also has a lot of NIL money on the table for that kid. We'll see what happens. I don't think the quarterback's a huge issue for him.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump to next week's game. So Thursday night, we've got an undefeated Pittsburgh team taking on Syracuse.
I'll definitely be watching this game. I'm a big fan of Syracuse this year.
Yeah, it should be a fun game.
Fran Browns fighting Orangemen.
How about another exciting game? You got Boise State Friday night taking on UNLV.
Rutgers, USC. I might catch the end of that. I'm going to a concert Friday night. So I won't be able to watch any of those games except for, I could probably watch a little bit of the Boise State and USC game. They're the late games. Late. I'll probably get home like midnight. So these games will be like around halftime.
Texas is going to try to rebound against Vanderbilt on Saturday. We'll see.
Get Georgia at home at night and then go play Vandy. Where did we see that before? Oh, yeah, by the way, when Alabama played them and lost.
Yes.
I don't think Texas is going to lose to Vanderbilt, but it'll definitely be worth watching.
They're going to come. Vanderbilt's
going to be ranked.
Yes.
They're going to be ranked. I think they're 25th now.
Yes, they are. Missouri's taking on Bama. So Bama's going to try to bounce back against a ranked Missouri team.
This is not an easy out for Alabama to get Missouri. This will be a tough matchup. Right. Missouri's a good football team. As I mentioned earlier, they're not great, but they're just a good, solid football team. They're good defensively. They've got some weapons and a running QB that can hurt you in a number of different ways. I'll be watching this game, hoping Alabama goes down again.
LSU takes on Texas A&M in a quiet, exciting game for SEC
I'll probably have the Missouri-Alabama game on at the big TV, and then the small one in our master bedroom. I'll have this one on, and I'll walk between the two rooms.
So they haven't actually announced the time for this game yet, have they?
No.
That's going to be tomorrow.
It'll be tomorrow. They'll do that stupid... it used to be CBS, now it's not. It's ABC rule.
BYU got UCF. That should be
could be a tough matchup. Kansas State. Ohio State, Nebraska at Ohio State. Another really tough game for Nebraska. I expect Ohio State to bounce back pretty easily. I don't expect anything crazy out of that game. I think... I'm interested to see how Raiola does against the talented defense of Ohio State, but I think Ohio State wins this easy.
I do too.
Notre Dame at Navy.
Interesting matchup.
This could be the game Navy loses. But yeah, that's definitely worth watching. It's not easy to prepare for these kind of service academies. Just like remember a few years ago with Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech, not easy to prepare for that. They can come up and get you because it's just so much different than everything that you're going to go up against the rest of the year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Washington, Indiana. Indiana,
good game.
A good game. I think they're going to be favored in every game, I think, except for they might have Ohio State. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that noon slot's good. That Oklahoma at Ole Miss. I expect Ole Miss to take that fairly easily.
Virginia Tech. See what else we got on the schedule.
Illinois at Oregon. That's going to be a tough game. I expect Oregon to stay undefeated. Illinois is a good football team. They're a hard-nosed football team. I think the QB is a lot better than I thought he was. I really was impressed with him yesterday.
Undefeated matchup in late October. $42 gets you in the stadium right now.
That ain't bad.
That's not bad at all. I'd almost want to get catching a flight and just checking it out.
Yeah, right.
Let's see what else we got.
Wake Forest at Stanford. Come on. Wake Forest. What are they? The Deacons?
The Demon Deacons, yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Oregon State, California.
Cal sucks.
Florida State, Miami. This used to be, when the season started, this looked like a big matchup.
It did, and now Miami is absolutely going to skull drag them. Yeah. I feel sorry for Florida State fans. You're about to be 1-7. Penn State at Nebraska. Number 3, Penn State at Nebraska. Wisconsin. Number 3, Penn State. That just seems like we're living in a bizarro world.
Well, I think we are living.
I don't think that I don't think that they're in the top 10 best teams in the country. But they play in a weak conference. They're going to give the benefit of the doubt. And I know it's going to happen. They don't have to play Ohio State, so they're going to go to the Big Ten championship game, most likely.
Get boat raced.
And get absolutely boat raced. They'll go to the playoff and get absolutely spanked by one of the 4 or 5 SEC teams that'll be in it.
Let's see. You got.
And we're all going to sit here and say, did anybody expect anything different?
Well, and what else we got?
Michigan State, Michigan.
Yep.
Little brother, big brother. I mean, that's a fun game just to watch because of the rivalry.
If Michigan State decides to show up.
Yeah, the crazy things that happened that game. Yeah. Auburn at Kentucky. 2 really, really disappointing teams. I think everybody in the country thought both of those teams would be better than what they are. Especially Kentucky. I knew Auburn didn't have a QB. Yeah. I knew they got some pieces, some better pieces, but I thought Kentucky, bringing in the 2 guys from Georgia, Brock Vanderbilt, I thought was going to be a good quarterback. The inside linebacker, Pop Johnson. But no, Kentucky's bad at football. I mean, they had a couple of, they beat Ole Miss. Yeah. They played Georgia hard. They got spanked by South Carolina. So people are like, well, was that an anomaly? Or they played Georgia tough, then they beat Ole Miss. Are they a good football team? Then we've kind of seen what has happened. Yeah. They lost to Vandy. They got smoked by Florida yesterday, a bad Florida team. Yeah. Kentucky's just not good.
No, that's the way it is. Well, I guess that's it. I mean, you got the 11:59 game, Nevada against Hawaii.
You got Cincinnati at Colorado, another night game. Deion's been bitching and moaning about night games, dude. I love night games. If we had all night games to go to, I love night games. You get to drink beer all day,
especially food in September.
Yeah, early season games where you can still wear shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah. Night games in November, I don't really fucking need to be like, I'm sorry. I don't need to be like bundled up. I don't like wearing too many like freaking sweatshirts and coats. Yeah. I mean, I'll be watching that game Saturday night, late night.
It's all good. That concludes this week's episode. We'll try to do something next week. I don't know if we got some things going on. I got to have surgery this week, so maybe I'll be back. I don't know. We'll see.
I got faith in you. You'll rally.
We'll try. If not, we'll put it off till the middle of next week, and we'll do a video. Lots going on. Anyway, you guys have a good week.
See ya.